Be silent for a moment, truly silent. In that pause, as the noise of life fades, you begin to sense something profound. Power. In a world that never stops talking, we forget that silence can be a source of strength and clarity. The Stoic philosophers understood this well. They taught that inner tranquility is a superpower in chaotic times, a fortress nothing and no one can penetrate without your consent. Today, we're going to uncover 15 timeless Stoic lessons for protecting your inner peace. Each lesson blends poetic reflection with down-to-earth wisdom, showing you how to remain calm, resolute, and empowered, no matter what life throws at you. Stick with us until the end. Each lesson builds on the last, and by lesson 15 you'll have a challenge that could transform the way you live. Ready to discover why silence is power? Let's dive in. Lesson 1. Embrace the power of silence. In the early morning hush, before the world stirs, lies a wellspring of strength. The Stoics believed that quiet isn't empty at all, it's full of answers. Epictetus, one of Stoicism's great teachers, advised, "Let silence be your general rule, or say only what is necessary and in few words." In practice, this means resisting the urge to overshare or fill every void with chatter. When we choose silence over needless speech, we reclaim energy and safeguard our peace. Even modern science backs this up. Periods of calm and silence can relieve tension and improve well-being. Think of silence as a shield. Gossip, drama, and outside noise bounce off, unable to wound the quiet strength within. A contemporary example, Bill Gates famously schedules Think weeks away in a secluded cabin, completely alone with his thoughts. No meetings, no social media, just silence and reflection. This retreat, done twice a year, helps him gain clarity and creativity, proving that silence can be a catalyst for insight. We may not escape to a cabin, but we can carve out pockets of solitude each day. In those moments, simply listen to your breath, to the faint sounds of nature or the hum of your home. In the stillness, you'll find your mind unwinding and your inner strength renewing. The noise of the world is temporary. The power of your quiet mind is enduring. Challenge. Starting tomorrow, spend 5 minutes in intentional silence. No phone, no music. Just sit quietly and observe. Notice how, over a week, this simple practice begins to relax your nerves and sharpen your focus. Protect this quiet time like a treasured appointment with yourself. Lesson 2. Master your response. Don't react, choose. Between stimulus and response, there is a silent pause, and in that pause lies your freedom. The Stoics taught that we can't always control what happens, but we can control how we respond. Instead of reacting in anger or fear the instant something happens, they urge us to take a breath, gather our composure, and then choose our response with intention. Epictetus warns us not to surrender this power. If a person gave away your body to some passerby, you'd be furious. Yet you hand over your mind to anyone who comes along, so they may abuse you, leaving it disturbed and troubled. Have you no shame in that? In other words, whenever someone's words or actions provoke you to anger, they effectively control you. True strength is staying unchained. Seneca put it simply, "Most powerful is he who has himself in his own power." Imagine a rude driver cutting you off in traffic or a colleague snapping at you. Your initial impulse might be to snap back, but pause. Your silence in that split second is powerful. It's you asserting, "My mood belongs to me." By not reacting in kind, you remain the master of yourself. Many modern individuals have found liberation in this stoic pause. A school teacher, for instance, discovered that by counting to 5 silently when a student's behavior tested her, she could respond calmly rather than with frustration. Over time, her classroom became more peaceful. Her calm was contagious. Likewise, think of a public figure known for grace under pressure. When pressed by hostile questions, they often smile gently or stay quiet for a moment before replying. That composure is Stoicism in action. By mastering your response, you rob external insults or chaos of any power over you. Challenge. The next time you feel your temper flare or anxiety spike, do nothing for a beat. Take a slow breath. Remind yourself that rushing to react equals handing over your mind. Only respond once you can do so from a place of calm. Keep track in a journal of each time you successfully paused instead of reacted. Celebrate these little victories for your inner peace. Lesson 3. Focus on what you can control. Imagine carrying 2 bags, one filled with things you can control and one with things you cannot. The Stoics urge you to put down that second bag entirely. They discovered a simple but life-changing truth. Inner peace comes from focusing only on what's truly up to us and releasing the rest. Make the best use of what is in your power, Epictetus wrote, and take the rest as it happens. Your actions, judgments, and efforts, these are in your control. Others' opinions, the weather, the outcome of that job interview, those lie outside your control. Fretting over them only feeds anxiety. Picture 2 entrepreneurs facing a sudden downturn in the market. One panics about the economy, which he can't change, while the other immediately pivots her business strategy, which she can change. The second entrepreneur sleeps better at night. Why? She's not weighed down by the burden of the uncontrollable. Stoic warriors like the Roman general Marcus Aurelius lived by this principle even amid crises. Marcus dealt with plagues and wars during his reign, yet he maintained a kind of contented equilibrium by focusing on duty and virtue, not on whether fate dealt him a fair hand. This mindset is equally powerful for ordinary people. A student might apply it during exam season. She studies hard, within her control, and tries not to agonize over the grades beyond direct control. By doing so, she stays calmer and often performs better. Or consider a parent at a kid's soccer game. He encourages and guides his child, what he can control, instead of yelling at the referee's bad call, what he can't. He leaves the field with joy instead of rage. When you consistently direct your energy toward what you can do and accept what you can't, you'll notice an incredible lightness. Life's ups and downs won't rattle you as much because you're anchored in the zone of control, where your efforts actually matter. Challenge. Try the classic Stoic exercise of the dichotomy of control. Tonight, draw 2 columns. In one, list everything currently worrying or stressing you. In the other, relist each item after filtering. Is this within my control or not? Cross out or draw a line through the ones beyond your control. For the remaining items, brainstorm one constructive action you can take. Practice this daily or weekly. You'll train your mind to focus on actionable concerns and to release the rest. Lesson 4. Accept what you cannot change. Amor Fati. The Stoics had a beautiful phrase, Amor Fati, meaning love of fate. It's an attitude of not just accepting, but embracing everything that happens, even the tough stuff, as necessary parts of your story. They realized that resistance to reality only breeds suffering. Seek not that the things which happen should happen as you wish, advised Epictetus, but wish the things which happen to be as they are, and you will have a tranquil flow of life. In essence, don't rail at the rain. Decide to want it to rain, or at least acknowledge it had to rain and move on. This doesn't mean you like every event, only that you recognize it's fruitless to fight what already is. Accept it, then choose your next step. One of the most powerful real-life examples comes from Vice Admiral James Stockdale, who survived 7 years as a prisoner of war in Vietnam. He endured torture, isolation, and uncertainty of release. What kept him sane was a stoic mindset of acceptance and inner control. Stockdale later credited his survival to Stoic philosophy, saying he was a changed and better man for my introduction to philosophy, and especially to Epictetus. Instead of despairing over his captivity, which he could not change, he focused on maintaining his honor and courage, which he could. By accepting his fate each day, he protected his mind from breaking. We need not face anything so extreme to practice acceptance. Consider an athlete who suffers a career-altering injury. Initially, Anger and why me, grief may rage. But those who find peace decide, okay, this happened. What can I do now? Perhaps they rehab diligently or channel their competitive spirit into coaching. By accepting reality, they move forward. Or think of times when plans fall through, a missed flight, a cancelled event. We've all seen someone melt down in frustration, but we've also seen someone shrug and say, it is what it is, then calmly grab a coffee and wait for the next flight. That second person is living the Stoic lesson. They don't waste inner peace fighting the unchangeable. Acceptance isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It frees up the energy you'd spend complaining and turns it toward adapting and growing. As Marcus Aurelius wrote in his journal during Rome's plague years, nature gives and nature takes away, so embrace what's given and rise above what's taken. He practiced Amor Fati to endure the losses around him. Challenge. Reflect on a situation that's causing you stress because it isn't what you wanted. Ask yourself honestly, can I change this, or is it beyond me? If it's beyond you, practice active acceptance. Write a short affirmation such as, I accept X event completely. Now I focus on what I can control. Repeat it to yourself whenever frustration bubbles up. For 1 week, try to say yes to reality as it is. Notice how much emotional energy this frees up and how you can redirect that energy toward positive action. Lesson 5. Guard your mindset. It's all in how you see it. A wise Stoic knows that events themselves aren't as crucial as how we perceive them. Our mind is the lens, coloring everything we experience. As Epictetus famously observed, men are disturbed not by things, but by the views which they take of things. In other words, it's not the traffic jam, the criticism, or the rain on your wedding day that upsets you. It's your opinion that these things are terrible or unfair that causes the inner turmoil. Change the view and you change the experience. This lesson invites us to become mindful gatekeepers of our thoughts. Consider 2 people stuck in a sudden downpour. One thinks, this is awful, my day is ruined. He fumes and flails miserable. The other thinks, well, free shower from nature. Maybe the crops need it. She laughs, splashes through puddles and goes about her day unfazed. Same rain, different views, completely different levels of peace. The Stoics practiced framing challenges as opportunities. When Emperor Marcus Aurelius faced betrayal and strife, he reminded himself that everything that happens is endurable and that we can choose to find some good or lesson in each event. Modern psychology calls this cognitive reframing, and it's proven to reduce stress. A modern example, an executive loses his job unexpectedly. One mindset says, I'm ruined. This is the end of my career. Another mindset, the Stoic mindset, says, this is painful, but maybe it's a chance to pursue a new path I wouldn't have chosen otherwise. Indeed, many people later describe a job loss or heartbreak as the best thing that ever happened to them once it led to new growth. The event didn't change, only their interpretation did. By guarding your mind and questioning your immediate impressions, you protect your tranquility. Stoic hero Epictetus even compared training your mind to training your body. You must exercise daily. When a setback happens, catch yourself. What story are you telling about this event? Is there another way to tell it that preserves your peace or even empowers you? It can be as simple as swapping, I have to do this tedious task, with I get to do this task, and I'll treat it as a chance to practice patience. Suddenly, the dread diminishes. The event hasn't changed, but you have changed, and that makes all the difference. Challenge. This week, practice the Stoic art of reframing. Pick one event that usually upsets you, perhaps running late due to circumstances or receiving critique at work. When it occurs, pause and deliberately choose a new view. Ask, what else could this mean? How might this be for the best? Or what can I learn from it? Write down your original interpretation and your new Stoic interpretation. Notice how changing the narrative changes your feelings. Over time, make it a habit to supply a calm, rational story in place of your knee-jerk, negative one. You'll be building a mind that stays serene under pressure. Lesson 6. Retreat into your inner sanctuary. Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul, wrote Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor. Despite ruling an empire, Marcus cherished moments of solitude within himself. He realized that no matter how loud and chaotic the world gets, we carry a sanctuary inside us, a place of refuge we can visit any time through reflection and thought. Think of your mind as a quiet room or a fortified citadel. You can step into it and shut the door on external distractions whenever you need peace. Marcus often did exactly this amid the turmoil of war. In fact, it was during grueling military campaigns on the frontiers of the Roman Empire that he penned his famous Meditations. Far from the comforts of Rome, surrounded by battle and plague, he turned inward. Night after night in his tent, he would write, contemplate virtue, and remind himself of the Stoic principles that nothing can steal his peace without his permission. Those writings, never meant for publication, were his way of finding silence in the storm. If he could do this in a war camp, imagine what we can do in traffic jams, busy offices, or noisy homes. Stoicism teaches that you can be in the middle of a crowd and still enjoy the quiet of your own mind. It's about developing the ability to step back and observe your thoughts rather than being carried away by every external stimulus. Perhaps you've experienced this in small ways, a moment of daydreaming or clarity while washing dishes or walking alone. That's your inner retreat calling. Even famous creative minds and leaders have embraced solitude for inner peace. Marcus Aurelius spent time alone with his journal each morning before dawn, and many centuries later, people still follow this practice to center themselves. Whether through journaling, meditation, or prayer, a few minutes of solitude can transform your whole day. By deliberately disconnecting from the noise, you reconnect with yourself. In that inner stillness, solutions to problems emerge and worries shrink. It's like diving below choppy waves to find calm water. The surface might be turbulent, but deep down, it's serene. Make it a habit to dive beneath the surface of life's chaos. Close your eyes and breathe, even in a crowded room, and remind yourself that the world outside cannot disturb the quiet you cultivate inside. Over time, you'll carry a pocket of peace with you everywhere, an unshakable core of calm. Challenge: create a daily ritual of solitude. It could be waking up 15 minutes earlier to sit with a cup of tea in silence, or taking a quiet walk at lunch without your phone. During this time, do a mind check-in. Observe what you're feeling and thinking. If you journal, write freely about whatever comes to mind, or list a few things you're grateful for. Treat this inner retreat as non-negotiable. Notice how, as the days pass, this sanctuary time makes you less reactive and more composed, even when the day grows noisy. Lesson 7. Live in the present moment. The present moment is all we ever really have, yet our minds love to wander to what's past or what's next. The Stoics recognized this distraction as a major thief of inner peace. Marcus Aurelius succinctly reminded himself, confine yourself to the present. To be confined to now is actually a liberation. It frees you from regret about yesterday and fear about tomorrow. When you center yourself on today, on this hour, on this breath, life becomes more manageable and serene. Seneca, another Stoic sage, observed that true happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future. How often do we let the precious present slip away because we're replaying an old mistake on loop, or fast-forwarding through countless what-if scenarios of the future? Stoicism invites us to do something radical. Be here now. If you're eating lunch, really taste the food instead of scrolling on your phone. If you're with family or friends, truly listen to their voices instead of mentally drafting emails for work. By fully inhabiting the moment you're in, you give your mind a chance to actually rest. The burden of past and future lifts, and with it much of our tension. Consider a modern mindfulness practice like meditation. It aligns perfectly with this Stoic lesson. Even a short breathing exercise anchors you to the present. You feel the air entering and leaving. You notice the sensations in your body. In those moments, past and future melt away. People who regularly practice mindfulness report lower stress and greater clarity, essentially rediscovering what the Stoics knew 2 millennia ago. One everyday example. Think of a time you took a walk and decided to notice the little things, the color of the sky, the feel of the breeze, maybe the rhythm of your steps. Even if you started that walk stressed, you likely ended it calmer and refreshed. Why? Because for those minutes, you weren't time traveling in your head. You were present. Living in the now also means facing life one moment at a time. Stoics often compare life to a journey taken step by step. Worrying about the 100th step when you're only on the 10th is futile and exhausting. Trust that you'll be capable when you get there. For now, take the next good step. By doing so, you reduce overwhelming tasks into manageable actions and anxiety into focus. It's not that you never plan for the future. Stoics were rational planners, but once the plan is set, they return their attention to executing today's duties. The result is a mind that is calm and attentive instead of scattered. Challenge. Practice a simple present moment exercise each day. For example, choose one routine activity, drinking your morning coffee, showering, or walking to the store, and do it with full attention. If your mind drifts to yesterday or tomorrow, gently bring it back to right here, right now. Additionally, when you catch yourself worrying about an upcoming event, pause and tell yourself, I will deal with that when and if it comes. What can I do today? Write down 3 things you can do in the present moment that either address a concern or bring you joy. Focusing on these will ground you. Over a week, you'll find that your anxiety about the future or resentment of the past lessens as your mind learns to dwell where it has true power, the present. Lesson 8. Cultivate contentment. Desire less, appreciate more. Look around at all you have. Your health, your loved ones, the simple joys within reach. The quickest path to inner peace is to want what you already have. The Stoics championed a life of modest desires, arguing that riches lie not in piling up more, but in needing less. As Epictetus plainly stated, wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. In a consumerist world that constantly urges us to chase the next big thing, this lesson is refreshingly countercultural. Contentment is true wealth. When you reduce excess desires, you reduce inner turmoil. Every desire is a potential disturbance. Think of a child desperately wanting a toy. Until they get it, they're restless and upset. Adults are not so different. How much stress comes from coveting a promotion, a luxury item, or an image of perfect life? The Stoics would ask, is your peace of mind worth that price? They remind us that freedom comes when you want little and enjoy deeply the simple things. Seneca and his fellow Stoics often practiced gratitude as a way to cultivate contentment. By regularly acknowledging the goodness already present, you fill the mind with a sense of enoughness. Modern science agrees, gratitude practices are shown to increase happiness. Imagine waking up and immediately thinking of 3 things you're grateful for: the smell of coffee, the fact you have a warm bed, the people in your life. This mindset sets a tone of sufficiency and calm for the day. Compare that to grabbing your phone and scrolling social media, instantly feeling lack by comparing your life to others. The Stoic approach deliberately focuses on one's own yard, not the neighbor's greener grass. Real-life insight. Many who downshift their lifestyle report greater peace. There are stories of high-powered professionals who left the rat race for simpler living, moving to a smaller home, cutting unnecessary expenses, and found they were happier. Why? Because by having fewer external distractions and artificial needs, they could finally save a life. One woman, for example, gave up a lucrative job and moved to a quieter town to spend more time with family. She noted that though she earns less, her days feel richer. She walks her kids to school, tends a garden, reads books. The fear of missing out on wealth or status was replaced by contentment with what she has. Stoics aren't against enjoying material things. They only caution us not to become enslaved by them. Enjoy a comfortable home, but know you could be okay without a mansion. Savor a good meal, but don't hinge your happiness on gourmet dining every night. By mentally rehearsing loss or going without luxuries occasionally, a Stoic exercise, you remind yourself that much of what we think we need, we truly don't. And that realization is profoundly liberating. When you desire less, the world can't bait and switch your happiness so easily. You stand firm, grateful, and self-sufficient in spirit. Challenge. For the next 7 days, practice Stoic gratitude and minimalism. Each morning or evening, list 5 things you're grateful for, no item too small. Notice how this makes you feel more content. Also, pick one day this week to perform a Stoic poverty exercise. Intentionally simplify your day and go without something you usually indulge in. Maybe eat very plain meals for a day, wear your most basic clothes, or avoid spending money. As you do this, pay attention to the fact that you're okay, perhaps even more peaceful, despite the lack of frills. This teaches your mind that a simple life is nothing to fear. By week's end, reflect on whether your cravings and aversions have lessened. Do you feel a little freer? That's the power of wanting less. Lesson 9. Let go of anger and forgive. Holding on to anger is like grasping a hot coal. You burn yourself while hoping to throw it at someone else. Stoicism urges us to let go of anger and resentment quickly, not for the other person's sake, but for our own peace. Marcus Aurelius offers a bracing bit of wisdom. The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. Instead of stewing or retaliating when someone wrongs you, choose not to become like them. If someone was cruel, you be kind. If someone spread gossip about you, you remain honest and gracious. In doing so, you free yourself from their negative influence. You walk away unpoisoned, your integrity intact. Think of anger as a debt that you decide not to incur. When you forgive or simply drop the grudge, you cancel that debt. You walk away lighter. There are countless examples of the power of forgiveness in restoring inner calm. Consider Nelson Mandela. After 27 years unjustly imprisoned, he emerged not with a heart full of hatred for his captors, but with a determination to reconcile his nation. He famously said that holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting your enemy to die. Mandela chose forgiveness, and in doing so, protected his spirit from bitterness and changed the world. On a personal scale, reflect on times you forgave someone and felt a profound relief afterward. Perhaps a friend betrayed your trust, or a family member hurt you. After the initial pain, you eventually decided to forgive. That moment likely felt as if a weight was lifted from your chest. The situation might not have been fair, but by releasing resentment, you reclaimed your happiness. The Stoics understood that anger is a temporary madness. Seneca wrote extensively on anger, calling it the most destructive emotion. It not only disturbs your mind, it often leads to actions you later regret. How many harsh words, shouted in anger, have we wished we could take back? By remaining calm, or at least cooling off before responding, we guard our relationships and conscience. Forgiveness doesn't mean naivety or condoning wrongdoing. It means you decide not to let anger control you. You still set boundaries and seek justice when appropriate, but you do so without hatred eating you up inside. For instance, if a coworker undermines you, you can address it firmly, maybe involve a supervisor or have an honest talk, without hating the person. By separating the action from your inner response, you solve the problem and keep your peace. When you forgive, it's like you drop a heavy anchor that's been holding you in stormy waters, and you sail forward to calmer seas. In truth, forgiveness is a gift you give yourself. It may or may not change the other person, but it certainly changes you for the better. Challenge. Identify one grudge, big or small, that you're carrying. It could be recent or long past. Privately, make the decision to let it go. You might write a letter to the person, you don't have to send it, expressing your feelings and stating that you choose to move on, or simply sit quietly and say out loud, "I forgive name. I will not let anger toward them live in me anymore." Notice any resistance within. Often, our ego clings to anger as a form of self-defense. Gently remind yourself that forgiveness is not for them, it's for you. Over the next few days, if thoughts of that hurt resurface, recite Marcus's quote, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who wronged me." Use it as a mantra to stay above the fray. Track how your mood and mental clarity improve once you set down this burden of anger. Lesson 10. Remember you will die. Memento Mori. It might sound sobering, but the Stoics found incredible peace and perspective in remembering mortality. "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think," wrote Marcus Aurelius. Far from being morbid, this reminder, Memento Mori, remember you must die, is actually a tool to live more fully and calmly. When we keep our finite lifespan in mind, petty annoyances lose their power, and we refocus on what truly matters. Think of how trivial yesterday's argument or embarrassment seems when you get a serious health scare, or when you're at a loved one's funeral. Suddenly, life's fragility snaps priorities into place. The Stoics practice this perspective daily, not to be sad but to wake themselves up to the gift of life. Seneca advised, "Let us prepare our minds as if we'd come to the very end of life. Let us postpone nothing." He believed that living with death in mind actually frees us from fear. It helps us stop procrastinating our happiness and virtue. Modern advocates of Stoicism and even psychologists find wisdom here. Acknowledging death can reduce fear of it and spark a deeper appreciation for each moment. Some therapists use this as part of existential therapy. A concrete example comes from people who've had near-death experiences or survived severe illnesses. Often, they describe a shift. Small stresses don't bother them as much anymore. They cherish everyday moments more deeply. You might hear someone say after a brush with mortality, "I feel like I've been given a second chance. I'm not going to waste it on anger or worry." We don't need a near-death experience to gain this insight. Stoic practice gives us a safe simulation. Epictetus encouraged students to occasionally contemplate the loss of what they love, not to be pessimistic, but to cultivate gratitude and resilience. He said, when kissing your child goodnight, remind yourself you may not have them forever, so you cherish them all the more. This teaching sounds harsh, but it's about valuing what's precious and not taking it for granted. Memento Mori also dissolves fear. When you accept that death is a natural part of life's cycle, you stop living in denial and anxiety about it. Instead of fearing the inevitable, you channel that energy into living well. Marcus Aurelius observed that what comes after death is also natural and not to be feared. What matters is acting justly and kindly while you're here. By integrating this lesson, you free yourself from the ultimate worry, death, which makes all lesser worries a bit lighter by comparison. It's like an antidote to stress. No failure or rejection seems devastating if you zoom out to the grand scheme of a human lifetime. This perspective encourages forgiveness. Why hold grudges when we're all here briefly? Courage. Why not do the right thing or take that opportunity? What truly do you have to lose? And presence. Every day is a gift, not a given right. Challenge. Try the Stoic contemplation of mortality in a gentle way. Each morning this week, take a minute to say to yourself, "I will not live forever. I have a limited number of days. Today is precious." This isn't meant to depress you, it's to motivate you. Let this thought guide your actions. If today were your last, would you spend it refreshing social media or stewing in resentment? Likely not. You'd call someone you love, step outside and appreciate the sun, or do something that leaves a positive mark. So do that. Additionally, when faced with a stressor, ask, if I had 1 year left to live, how much would this actually bother me? Most often the answer is not at all. This perspective can instantly release the tension. Embrace Memento Mori as a friend reminding you, life is fleeting. Choose to spend it on what matters. Lesson 11. Live with integrity. Be virtuous, not validation seeking. Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. This directive from Marcus Aurelius cuts straight to the point. True peace comes from living in alignment with your values, not from talking about them or seeking others' approval. Stoicism holds that virtue, being a good person, is the highest good and the key to a tranquil mind. When you consistently do what's right, honest, fair, courageous, and self-controlled, you lay your head on the pillow each night with minimal regrets and a clear conscience. The noise of the world, who's praising or blaming you, matters far less, because you know who you are. Living with integrity means your actions follow your principles even when no one is watching. It's a kind of inner quiet. There's no dissonance between what you believe and what you do. Conversely, inner turmoil often comes when we act against our own values, perhaps to impress others or out of fear. Think of times you said yes to something that felt wrong just to please people and then felt uneasy afterward. That's the price of betraying oneself. The Stoics would advise, better to disappoint others than to lose your own respect. An example of Stoic integrity, Cato the Younger, a Roman statesman, was legendary for his unwavering principles. He dressed plainly and spoke the truth in the Senate, even when it angered the powerful. He wasn't concerned with popularity, he cared about being virtuous. People mocked him, yet many also admired him, and through it all, Cato remained peaceful inside because he lived on his own terms. In modern times, consider whistleblowers or activists who stand up for what's right despite personal risk. Their calm resolve often comes from the knowledge that they are being true to their core values, whatever the external consequences. Closer to home, think of a colleague who refuses to engage in gossip, or a friend who gently but firmly declines to cheat or cut corners. They might not get ahead as fast in the short term, but they carry themselves with a quiet confidence. That confidence is the armor of integrity. You don't need to be famous to live this way. Every day offers chances for virtue. Being honest in small interactions, keeping promises, doing your work diligently even if no one checks on you, treating others kindly even if they're difficult. These are the silent victories that the Stoics say build inner peace. Why? Because if your own respect is secured, the world can neither give you nor take away the serenity that comes from self-respect. Living for validation is a never-ending treadmill. There will always be someone who disapproves. But living for virtue is a steady path. You can always choose to do what aligns with your ideals, regardless of who's watching. And ironically, those who live with integrity often earn respect without chasing it. But by then, it hardly matters, because they are content with themselves. Challenge. Define your core values in writing. What qualities make someone good in your eyes, e.g. honesty, kindness, courage, fairness, reliability? Now pick one situation in your life where you've been wavering or wearing a mask to fit in. Resolve to approach that situation this week with total integrity, even if it's uncomfortable. It could be speaking up, respectfully, when a friend makes an unethical choice, or admitting a mistake at work rather than hiding it. Before you act, remind yourself that your goal is not to please others or avoid conflict at all costs, but to do what's right. Afterwards, reflect. Do you feel more at peace internally? Often the immediate result of an integrity move is a burst of self-esteem and relief, even if it was scary to do. By accumulating these choices, you cultivate unshakable self-respect. Keep Marcus's words handy. Be one. Let actions, not words or public trophies, define your character. Over time, you'll find that approval has quietly been replaced by something far more valuable: self-approval. Lesson 12. Choose your company and inputs wisely. The people and information you surround yourself with have a profound effect on your inner peace. The Stoics were very aware of the company they kept, both in terms of friends and the ideas they allowed into their minds. Plutarch, a philosopher admired by Stoics, noted, "It is a true proverb that if you live with a lame man, you will learn to limp." In other words, we inevitably pick up the habits and mindsets of those around us. To protect your tranquility, be mindful of these influences. If you associate with chronic complainers or hot-headed individuals, you'll find negativity and anger seeping into your own thinking. If you constantly consume doom and gloom news or social media drama, your mind will mirror that chaos. Conversely, spend time with calm, positive people and uplifting, wise content, and you'll start reflecting those qualities. Seneca advised seeking the company of those who uplift you and distancing yourself from those who corrupt your character. This doesn't mean being unkind or elitist. It means gently but firmly setting boundaries to guard your state of mind. Consider doing a friend audit or media audit. Are there people in your life who, after you interact with them, leave you feeling drained, agitated, or lesser? Perhaps a friend who gossips maliciously, or a colleague whose cynicism is contagious. While we can't avoid everyone difficult, and Stoicism also teaches tolerance and understanding, we can limit exposure and not actively seek out negative company. Similarly, consider the media you consume, 24/7 news that leaves you anxious, or social feeds that spark envy and outrage. The Stoic idea of moderation applies here. Stay informed, yes, but don't drown in toxic streams of information. A modern example, many people have discovered that by curating their social media, unfollowing accounts that provoke anger or comparison, and following those that inspire or educate, they feel significantly happier and more peaceful online. Your mind is like a garden, and influences are the seeds. You can't control every seed that the wind carries in, but you can certainly plant good seeds and pull out the weeds when you spot them. Stoics sometimes practiced reading and recalling good maxims or hanging portraits of admirable figures, like Socrates or Zeno, in their living spaces to remind them to emulate those traits. You can do the 21st century version. Surround yourself, physically or virtually, with people who exhibit the calm, strength, and kindness you aspire to. Over time, you'll notice your own thoughts and behaviors aligning with that higher standard. By choosing your company, you're effectively choosing the climate of your mind. Challenge: do 2 things this week. 1. Social inventory. Identify one person or online influence that consistently injects stress or negativity into your life. Create a boundary. This could mean spending less time with a pessimistic acquaintance, maybe shorten or limit encounters, or steer conversations to positive topics, or muting, unfollowing a social media source that upsets you. Observe if this boundary noticeably improves your mood. 2. Positive infusion. Intentionally reach out to a friend or mentor who makes you feel calm and inspired, or replace your morning doom scrolling with reading a few pages of philosophy or an inspiring biography. Essentially, add one high-quality influence to your daily routine. As you make these adjustments, note the difference in your mental state. Like stepping out of a noisy room into a quiet one, the relief can be palpable. By cultivating a circle of tranquility, both people and inputs, you create an environment where your inner peace can thrive. Lesson 13. Build resilience through voluntary discomfort. Strength is built in adversity, and the Stoics believed in training for adversity before it strikes. One way they did this was through voluntary discomfort, occasionally living as if circumstances were tougher, to prove to themselves they could handle it and to appreciate what they had. Seneca advised practicing poverty in dress and diet, sometimes asking, "Is this what I feared?" This way, if hard times came, they wouldn't lose their peace. They'd already become resilient. He famously said, "To bear trials with a calm mind robs misfortune of its strength and burden." In other words, meet challenges with composure, and the bad situation loses much of its bite. How do we cultivate such a calm mind under trial? By deliberate practice. Modern Stoics and self-improvement enthusiasts still use these techniques. For example, you might take cold showers to build fortitude, or purposefully skip a meal, if health permits, to experience hunger and realize it's not the end of the world. Some people do digital detoxes or challenge themselves to spend a day with only basic necessities. These discomfort rehearsals do two things. They inoculate you against fear of loss, and they reveal how strong you already are. When you see that you remain essentially okay without luxury or convenience, a lot of anxiety fades. You begin to trust that whatever life throws at you, job loss, economic downturn, travel delays, aging, you have the inner resources to endure. Consider athletes. They train in challenging conditions so that during the real game, which might be stressful, they can perform with confidence. The Stoic life is similar. If you've practiced keeping a level head during a tough workout, it's easier to keep a level head during a tough day at work. If you've walked a mile in an uncomfortable pair of shoes by choice, a small inconvenience later feels trivial. Another benefit: voluntary discomfort makes you grateful for comfort. After a cold shower, a warm blanket feels divine. After fasting, a simple meal tastes like a feast. You reset your baseline of satisfaction, which ties back to contentment. Lesson 8. You also develop compassion for others who live with less, not by choice, but by circumstance. This builds empathy, a Stoic virtue, and that empathy further enriches your character. Remember, the Stoics aren't saying seek misery or live a permanently deprived life. Rather, train occasionally in hardship so that unchosen hardship won't shatter you. They also applied this mentally, practicing facing fears in imagination, negative visualization, so that if the fear comes true, they're prepared. A modern story: some military units use Stoic principles in training, like the Navy SEALs' notorious Hell Week, where they endure extreme conditions. Those who get through emerge with a profound realization. Most limits are mental, and they can handle more than they thought. For us civilians, perhaps it's signing up for a challenging endurance event, or simply waking up earlier than comfortable to exercise discipline. Each time you do something hard and remain calm, you expand your comfort zone and shrink your anxiety zone. You start to greet challenges with a steady gaze. Come what may, I can bear it. This confidence is quiet, not boastful. It's the assured calm of one who has seen their own strength in action. Challenge: pick a form of voluntary discomfort to try this week. Ensure it's safe and moderate. Some ideas: take a brisk cold shower in the morning, if you usually drive, bike, or walk somewhere instead. Skip that mid-afternoon snack and let yourself feel a bit of hunger. Disconnect from electronics for a day, or sleep one night on the floor or without a pillow. Before and during the challenge, maintain a Stoic mindset. Remind yourself, I am strengthening my mind and will. I can meet this discomfort with calm. Afterwards, reflect. Was it as bad as you imagined? How did you feel once you pushed through? Often you'll discover a sense of pride and less fear toward that discomfort. By doing this periodically, you'll notice a growth in your resilience muscle. When life imposes difficulties, as it inevitably will, you'll react more like a tested warrior than a panicked novice. Your inner peace will hold, even under strain, because you've proven to yourself that misfortune has no match for a prepared mind. Lesson 14. Reflect and refine. Evening Stoic journaling. Every day is a chance to learn and improve if we take the time to reflect. The Stoics were big on self-examination, especially at day's end. Seneca suggests, we should every night call ourselves to an account. What infirmity have I mastered today? What passions opposed? What temptation resisted? What virtue acquired? By reviewing our actions and thoughts each evening, we become aware of where we kept our peace and virtue, and where we slipped. This isn't meant for self-criticism, but for self-correction. It's like a gentle audit for your soul. You celebrate the wins, acknowledge the lapses, and plan for a better approach tomorrow. This habit of reflection brings a deep sense of calm. Why? Because instead of letting experiences and mistakes pile up unattended, which can create subconscious anxiety, you process and file them neatly in your mind. You go to bed with a clearer head, knowing you've learned something and made a little progress. Marcus Aurelius's entire Meditations is essentially a journal of self-reflection. He wrote to himself about being patient, about not losing temper at others' misdeeds, about focusing on what's right. We get the sense that each night or morning he was sorting through his mental impressions and reminding himself of the Stoic path. You can do the same in a modern journal or a meditation practice. Many successful and centered people today keep journals. They might jot down what they're grateful for, what they did well, and what they could do better. It's a proven practice for stress reduction and personal growth. When you externalize your thoughts onto paper, worries often shrink. You've taken them out of the echo chamber of your head, and your resolve grows. Written goals or pledges feel more concrete. Even if you're not a writer, your reflections can be bullet points or spoken aloud in prayer or thought. The key is the habit of deliberate introspection. Ask yourself the Stoic questions. Did I let anger get the best of me today? If so, why and how might I respond differently next time? Was I kind and fair in my dealings? Did I succumb to any temptations or fears? If yes, how can I fortify against them? Also, what did I do right today that I can replicate? Perhaps you kept your cool during a tense meeting. Acknowledge that and feel good about it. Perhaps you avoided a distraction and finished a task. That's a win for discipline. By reinforcing positives and learning from negatives, you create a virtuous cycle. This nightly clearing of the mind is like tidying up a workspace. Waking up to a tidy desk makes for a more peaceful and productive morning. Likewise, waking up with a mind that's been sorted the night before creates a calm start to the day. You carry less emotional clutter. Over time, you'll notice patterns. Maybe you're often losing patience around the same issue, or always procrastinating on a certain task. Recognizing these patterns is the first step to breaking them and protecting your peace more consistently. As the saying goes, often attributed to Socrates, the unexamined life is not worth living. The Stoics would tweak that. The unexamined day leaves lessons unlived. By reflecting, you make every day an education for your soul, steadily moving toward the sage-like calm that Stoicism promises. Challenge. Start a Stoic journal for 1 week. Each night, set aside just 5 to 10 minutes to write down or mentally review the following. 1. Highlights. What went well? Where did you feel proud of your mindset or actions? 2. Challenges. What situations tested your inner peace or virtue? Did you react stoically, or do you wish you'd handled it differently? 3. Lessons. What can you learn from today? And what is one intention for tomorrow? E.g., if X happens again, I will respond by doing Y. Or tomorrow I want to focus on listening more deeply to others. Be honest but kind to yourself. Imagine you're a coach giving advice, not a judge passing sentence. At week's end, read over your notes. Do you see improvement or common themes? Most importantly, do you feel more at ease knowing that, come what may, you can always learn and adjust? This habit is likely one you'll want to continue, as many do, because it turns every single day into a step forward on the path of peace and wisdom. Lesson 15. Cultivate Serenity, your unshakable core. All the previous lessons lead to this final Stoic ideal, a state of inner serenity that endures through life's ups and downs. Think of it as an unshakable core of peace. It doesn't mean never feeling pain or sadness. Stoics are not stone-faced robots. It means that beneath the waves of emotion, you maintain a steady calm, like the deep ocean beneath surface storms. Epictetus described it as the ultimate sign of progress. The surest sign of the higher life is serenity. Moral progress results in freedom from inner turmoil. You can stop fretting about this and that. When you've integrated Stoic habits, mindfulness, acceptance, rationality, moderation, virtue, an interesting transformation occurs. Things that used to upset you no longer do, or not as much. You find that you worry less about the future because you trust yourself to handle it. You ruminate less on the past because you've learned to accept and forgive. You don't get thrown off by insults or crises as easily because you have practiced controlling your response and focusing on what matters. This serenity is power. It's the quiet confidence of someone who walks through a chaotic marketplace as if strolling in a peaceful garden. External noise remains external. It does not infect the mind. Achieving this is a lifelong journey, but even glimpses of it are golden. You might notice, after working on these lessons, that a situation which used to drive you crazy now only mildly irritates you, and you recover your calm quickly. That's progress. Perhaps your family notices you're more patient, or colleagues see you handling pressure with grace. These are signs that your inner citadel is fortifying. Another aspect of serenity, it's contagious in a positive way. Just as one panicky person can spread anxiety, one calm person can instill calm. By being the steady one, you not only help yourself, but also become a rock for others. Think of a time when someone in authority, a parent, a boss, a team captain, stayed calm in a crisis. It likely helped everyone else keep it together. You can be that person in your circles. Stoic serenity isn't about inaction or passivity. It's an active calm, ready for purposeful effort. It's like the eye of a hurricane, still and clear, yet encircled by dynamic energy. From that center, you can make wise decisions and take effective actions because your mind isn't clouded by panic or despair. The Stoics often liken the mind to a fortress or an inner citadel. Enemies, stress, misfortune, may lay siege. But if the gates are well guarded by wisdom and the foundations strong in virtue, the citadel stands. And from atop its walls, the Stoic watches the siege with a kind of tranquility, knowing they have prepared well. In modern terms, this could be the individual who amidst economic downturn and uncertainty remains calm, continues living by their principles, and even finds ways to help others because they are not paralyzed by fear. Silence is power because it's in silence that the Stoic finds clarity and strength. The noise of panic or anger has been quieted by reason and perspective. This final lesson is both a destination and a practice. Cultivating serenity is something you do each day, and over time you realize you are serene more often than not. It's the cumulative reward of practicing all these habits. You've now journeyed through 15 Stoic lessons, each a piece of the puzzle in protecting your inner peace. These aren't just philosophical ideas from centuries ago. They are living habits you can start practicing today. Imagine the compound effect on your life as you consistently embrace silence. Choose your response, focus on what matters, accept the uncontrollable, master your mindset, find your inner sanctuary, live presently, cultivate contentment, forgive freely, remember what's important, Memento Mori. Act with integrity, surround yourself wisely, build resilience, reflect daily, and nurture serenity. Bit by bit, you become the calm within the storm, the wise and steady presence in a world of rush and chaos. This is the power of Stoicism. It doesn't change the world around you, it changes you. And that makes all the difference in how you experience the world. Now, as we wrap up, take a moment of silence to let these lessons sink in. Which one spoke to you the most? Which challenge will you take on first? We encourage you to re-watch sections of this video and even take notes. Each viewing can reveal a new insight as you grow. Remember, Stoicism is a practice, a daily endeavor. The more you exercise these principles, the stronger your inner peace muscle becomes. If you found value in this journey, join our Be Stoic community by subscribing to our channel. We regularly explore ancient wisdom and practical tips to help you live a tranquil, resilient, and meaningful life. By subscribing, you won't miss out on future videos that deepen these lessons, like Stoic morning routines for a calm day, or handling criticism the Stoic way. Also, don't keep the peace to yourself. Share this video with friends or family who could use a dose of calm and strength in their lives. Lastly, check out the other videos on our channel for more insights. Each video is crafted to empower you with knowledge and habits that transforms stress into serenity and adversity into opportunity. From Marcus Aurelius's wisdom to modern success stories of Stoicism in action, there's so much more to explore. Thank you for watching till the end. Your commitment to improve yourself is commendable. Remember that every small step counts. As you go forward, carry that stoic silence within you. In a noisy world, let it be your competitive edge, your secret weapon, your source of unshakable power. Stay calm, stay strong, and until next time on Be Stoic, keep building your inner peace. You've got this. Subscribe and see you in the next video.